Ferrari is struggling with Frederic Vasseur's management, something that often happens in Formula One. 7 days have passed since the Chinese Grand Prix, which will go down in history for the dual irregularity detected by the FIA on the Maranello team's cars. Even with time to reflect, the disappointment is great, despite a mediocre performance over the 300 kilometers distance. The historic Maranello-based team had not hidden its ambitions at the start of the 2025 Formula One season. It expressed its intention to aim for both world titles. This remains a feasible goal, considering that only 2 of the 24 rounds on the calendar have been completed. In short, there is plenty of time to recover, as long as the issues with the SF-25 are swiftly addressed. Without the disqualification of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc's cars, the outcome of the Shanghai weekend could still be considered positive. Of course, this is in comparison to the disastrous Australian debut. However, the weekend in the Far East ended for the Maranello team on Saturday. After just 2 races, both the drivers' and constructors' standings are significant. Just think, for the first time in the history of the Italian team, a driver from a customer team is ahead of the 2 main drivers. We are talking about Esteban Ocon, who, thanks to the disqualifications of the Italian side's representatives, is the driver with the most points in the Formula One standings among those using a Ferrari-powered car. Just 3 weeks ago, this scenario would have been laughable. There's no point in beating around the bush. The atmosphere at Ferrari has become very tense. The natural evolution of the SF-24 was never considered by the engineers in red. The 3rd year of Frederic Vasseur's management was supposed to be, at least in intention, the year of technical and organizational maturity for Ferrari. The manager from France has shaped the Ferrari racing department to suit his managerial vision. The departure of Italian aerodynamicist and former Ferrari technical director Enrico Cardile was perhaps the only unexpected event in the team's internal reorganization process, which did not seem to destabilize the technical department. Setting aside the disastrous 2023 Formula One season, in which the French boss took over from the resigned Mattia Binotto, last season, the Italian team had a good campaign and a satisfactory performance. The Maranello team risked winning the constructors' title, battling McLaren until the final round of the season at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. Too bad it is now other records that are being pursued. If we take a step back 12 months, the Maranello team didn't need to win at all costs. The goal was to perform better than the previous season, and this is the big current difference between being able to win and having to win at all costs. On the eve of the 2025 Formula One World Championship, as mentioned, Ferrari has publicly set its goals and must try to maintain them. The obligation to win is certainly a motivation, but it can also be a burden, especially for a team that has been accustomed to defeat. In 2024, without the pressure to win at any cost, the team led by the Frenchman showed the ability to take risks without the fear of making mistakes. The problem is that, at Maranello, dysfunctional dynamics may return to fashion. Situations that in the past led engineers to suppress their talent, fearing mistakes and choosing not to take risks. If the red team intends to climb back up, it is necessary to take risks, just as it did last year. Of course, in the 2024 Formula One season, there were moments of difficulty, especially after the aerodynamic update package introduced by the Ferrari technicians and engineers at the Circuit de Catalunya in Spain, which had a lot of negative consequences for the performance of the SF-24. But without losing composure, the team was able to react. It did so by managing to correct and develop the SF-24 very well until the end of the season, increasing its potential to fight at the top of the category. The bar is now much higher. They must win, no ifs or buts. This sword of Damocles hanging over the heads of the red team members must not destabilize the environment in any way. Otherwise, everyone would be called into question, starting with Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur. For now, the French manager continues to have complete confidence in the SF-25 project, stating recently in an interview for the French media that he clearly sees the car is not flawed and that the numbers support this. In the meantime, the first major updates for the SF-25 are almost ready. A new floor will debut at the Bahrain Grand Prix, but it might not be sufficient. After a disappointing start to the 2025 Formula One season, Ferrari needs to bounce back quickly. There is still confidence within the team, but also a new awareness. In order to be able to fight for race wins, they must rapidly catch up with the blisteringly fast McLaren. The first 2 rounds of the championship have not rewarded Ferrari's winter efforts, finishing on the edge of the points in Australia, then disqualified with both cars in China. In between, the spectacular sprint race in Shanghai, where Lewis Hamilton enjoyed an SF-25 that was as fast and competitive as promised at the start of the season, yet still hindered by setup challenges. While Frederic Vasseur is convinced that the numbers don't lie and that the car has title-winning potential, time is ticking. The Japanese Grand Prix will kick off the first triple header of the season, taking the circus to Bahrain and then to Saudi Arabia. 3 races where Ferrari must try to close, or at least not widen, the 61-point gap to McLaren. To draw a comparison to the current situation, Fred Vasseur referred to the 2024 sprint race in China, where Max Verstappen secured victory, pointing out that the Dutch driver started from P6 and won the race with a 16-second lead. Last year, after the first few races, many believed the championship was already decided in favor of Max Verstappen and Red Bull. However, things turned out differently as Ferrari and McLaren battled for the Constructors' Championship until the final race, while the Austrian team had to settle for 3rd place in the standings. Frederic Vasseur has energized the fans, suggesting that a similar scenario could unfold again. After the Chinese Grand Prix, the Ferrari team boss acknowledged McLaren's strong pace, stating that they were a step ahead, but emphasizing that the championship was not over. In recent days, there has already been talk of Ferrari's first planned aerodynamic update package. Since it was almost ready, there were suspicions it might be introduced as early as Suzuka, at least in part to immediately inject life into the SF-25 single-seater. However, Frederic Vasseur's technical team has seemingly chosen not to rush things and to stick to the initially planned schedule, which called for the new floor to debut at the Bahrain International Circuit instead. In Maranello, work continues relentlessly, leaving no stone unturned, with data analysis and simulator sessions, the usual efforts teams make between races. The upcoming Japanese Grand Prix will already be a crucial turning point, and a misstep could make Ferrari's championship challenge even tougher. However, no updates are expected at the 5.807-kilometer Suzuka circuit. According to various reports in the Italian media, the entire aerodynamic package will be on the car in Sakir, the 4th round of the 2025 Formula One Championship. These updates have been in development for some time, but they do not directly address the car's main issues. There may be improvements in terms of ride height management, but a more targeted fix will likely still be needed. Already at the Albert Park circuit in Australia, concerns were raised about possible rear suspension problems on the SF-25 single-seater, leading to difficulties in managing skid block wear. The car's downforce pushes it to the ground, creating additional rear squat that the suspension struggles to handle. A specific fix for this type of issue takes time. The new floor, which will be introduced at the Bahrain International Circuit, may help, but if the car's problems are structural, its impact will be limited. The work of technical director Loic Serra, who is now fully operational in Maranello, is more crucial than ever to save Ferrari's 2025 Formula One campaign.